Welcome back to June 29th, 1998. It is Analyzing Attitude, episode number 37. We are live from Cleveland, Ohio tonight. I'm Jimmy Allen. That's the good doctor, Mike Sweeney. Don't forget to like and subscribe and give us a comment down below. Leave us know, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Let us know what you think about this episode of Raw. Mike, we're going to get into the ratings at the end of the show tonight, but I'm really interested to see how these two episodes back to back compare for both Raw and Nitro on the coming weeks because Raw, I believe, wins this week's episode battle in the Monday Night Wars. Next week, the infamous Georgia Dome event with Goldberg taking on Hollywood Hogan, the WCW Championship. So I'm going to be interested to see how this Monday Night Raw, coming off the heels of a hot pay-per-view, the King of the Ring 1998 was last night. Mankind being thrown off Hell in a Cell. Stone Cold Steve Austin is not the WWF champion for the very first time on a Raw post WrestleMania 14, and obviously leading into Goldberg taking on Hollywood Hogan next week on Nitro. Really excited to see how those two things stack up in the ratings.
Absolutely, man. And it's kind of a given. It kind of feels that WWF was going to take this week with the big title change and the obvious Hell in a Cell in the room of it all with Mick Foley and Undertaker.
Yeah.
If it's not the last time, there's not too many, but I believe Goldberg and Hogan is one of the last times WCW gets the win on the ratings.
Yeah, it happens periodically throughout 1998 and 99, but not as often as Eric Bischoff and crew would like it to happen.
Right.
We open up with something you and I have talked fondly about on this episode is just the nostalgia of still shots with voiceovers from Jim Ross from the pay-per-view. And last night we're focusing on who was controlling Hell in a Cell and who was making it go up and down while Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kane were in the main event. We don't even open up showing Mankind being thrown off the cell or the Undertaker jumping down off of the top of it, but we focus heavily on Stone Cold Steve Austin losing the WWF Championship to Kane, and then the Undertaker coming down and being the one who opened up Stone Cold Steve Austin with that steel chair last night. And why did he do it? Not only did he do that, he threw the official back into the ring and helped Kane win his very first and only WWF Championship of his career. But that's the storyline heading into this episode: is why did the Undertaker do this?
Yeah, and it's kind of a. I mean, I get it because we're planting the seeds for Steve Austin and Undertaker at SummerSlam, but I don't know why we're not really even showcasing the Foley Taker cell. I know Austin losing the title is what's on the fans' minds going into it because Steve Austin's their guy. But I mean, come on, everyone's talking about Hell in a Cell.
You have to wonder in the non-social media era if they had a grasp on how big of a deal that was. I wonder how many. Because listen, Mick Foley is at the show. Right. It's not like they gave him the night off, so he's not in ring action, thank God. But I wonder if they had a grasp on, because when you're in the wrestling bubble, it's kind of probably hard to imagine life outside of it or have a understanding, especially in 1998 before really the .com boom happens, of what the pulse of your product is. Because listen, in the trenches, you're still in the coming out of the 83-week run where you're getting your ass kicked for the better part of 2 years. So I wonder if it's gonna take them a couple months for them to realize, because we know they don't even really fully go all in on Mick Foley for the next couple months either.
No, and like you said, our behind the scenes stuff that you had to get at the time was like actual like dirt sheets. So and they weren't so instant gratification like they are now. So yeah, the only thing they really have is crowd response, and they know that Steve Austin's their guy. So I can kind of understand putting more of the focal point on that, especially with the main event that we end up getting.
Well, as we have become accustomed to, the show opens up proper with none other than Vince McMahon. He opens up the show. Thought this was interesting. Gerald Briscoe comes out with Sergeant Slaughter to a course of booze with Mr. McMahon, but we find out that Pat Patterson has had a death in his family, and he's not here tonight, which is why he's not in his normal spot as one of the stooges during this. And this kind of helps Commissioner Slaughter kind of go full heel. Spoiler alert, he doesn't kick anybody out of ringside tonight. But it doesn't take us long to get to the sign of the night. We open up the show properly with a sign letting us know that this guy thinks Vince is a pimp. So shout out to that guy. If you're that guy in the crowd, leave us a comment below. But really weird that Commissioner Slaughter is out here. Obviously you have a situation with a real life situation off screen for him for him not being there. But Vince is dressed to the nines here. He's got the white wall shoes on, the Gucci shoes, the Gucci suit. The Winged Eagle title is in a glass case, and Vince tells us that this is the dawn of a new era, a new WWF champion, one of respect, dignity, and civility. And then a very 1998 on-brand chant is "Vince is gay" breaks out. Thank you for that, Cleveland.
Yes.
But Vince says this is a breath of fresh air, and it has cleansed the WWF of all the beer swelling, swearing, and finger gesturing. He says not only the only hand gesture that Kane has ever done in his life is to salute the flag of the United States of America. Listen, I know he's the mayor of Knox County now, but 1998, Kane didn't scream patriotism to me.
No, not quite the red, white, and blue machine as we see. What a funny way for Vince to describe Kane. I mean, but it's
a
all
guy that eventually calls himself the devil's favorite demon. By the way.
Yes. And the shoes. I'm glad you brought that up because Steve certainly does here in a few moments. And
absolutely,
man, when they get him out here, it's just I think it was just laugh after laugh for the way he was talking to Vince and Paul Bearer.
Yeah, Vince says, "I give you Kane." And the lights go out, the organ begins to play, and here comes the big red machine. And Jim Ross reminds us that the Undertaker opened up Stone Cold Steve Austin, not Kane. And someone actually, we're just opened up talking about Nitro. Somebody actually tosses a roll of toilet paper into the ring here, and I kind of wonder how much this was inspired by what was happening with the NWO on the other channel too. But I thought it was really interesting that was that much backlash against Kane winning the WWF Championship.
Oh my gosh, it just tells you how big the popularity was for Stone Cold. Yeah. I mean, because Kane, while being a heel, he's pretty cool in the fans' eyes, but anything that goes up against their guy, they're against.
Yeah, Vince welcomes Paul Bearer and Kane into the ring and says that Paul probably can't explain with words how he feels, but asks him to try. And Paul says the WWF is truly a place where dreams can come true, and gives a big smile to Vince McMahon. He says he watched Kane for 20 years try to aspire to be like the Undertaker, and Paul tells us that Kane wanted to be like the Undertaker, but Paul knew he could do better than the Undertaker, and that for the first time, the Undertaker will stand in the shadow of his little brother. I thought that was a really interesting dynamic for a guy that was supposed to be a one-off WrestleMania kind of throwaway for the Phenom. Just a handful of months later, it's been exactly 17 months to the day since the last time we saw Isaac Yankem. Shows you how long that Glenn Jacobs has been away from television.
Yes.
And now he's standing here as the WWF. I'm sorry, 27 months, not 17. 27 months. And he's standing here as the WWF champion and the Undertaker's brother, and upstanding him just tonight after one of the big four pay-per-views.
All right. And there's not a whole lot of people that can say they beat Austin for the title.
Sure.
Kane's a perfect example of just maximizing your moments, because while this is his first title, WWE title reign, or WWF title reign, I apologize, and the only one he actually has, it's only for a day, and then he doesn't even have a world title run for 12 more years. And yeah, and on that time, I think he was the first one to cash in Money in the Bank on the same night. So he doesn't have many, but both of his title reigns have been memorable.
Well, and you can say that, maybe outside of the Undertaker, because they certainly did it faster with Kane.
Yes,
one of the best character developments and arcs, specific. And I'm just talking in this time period up until now. On this date back in 1998, they got him over by putting the machine behind him without really beating anybody. Too. His pop scare was one of the most must-see moments of basically 1997 into 1998.
Yes, and he's just cool, man. He's got the eeriness, and 90s slashers were all the rage, and he fits that bill with it. But there's just that one guy that, like we've been saying, he got a little bit more popularity.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that guy, he's going to show up pretty soon here, because Gerald Briscoe removes the case, and Vince McMahon tries to place the belt around Kane's waist voluntarily, which he points out because Jim Ross tells us that Stone Cold Steve Austin forced Vince McMahon to put it around his waist. Vince goes to put the belt on Kane, and the glass shatters. We just talked about pop scares with Kane, but listen, Vince's reaction here was fantastic.
It kind of reminded me of the last time I think he was getting physical in the ring, which was,
where he was running from him.
Yeah. And I think the wrong music played before Steve Austin's came out, and he did the overreaction, and it looked really weird. And then Stone Cold's music. Classic Vince.
And like I think Vince's facials here and just his reaction to Steve is what helped give him that unpredictability. I mean, if the guy that runs the place is worried about him being here,
Yes.
kind of tells everybody else they should be too, right?
I can't agree more.
Well, Austin walks down. I love that he ripped the mic out of Sergeant Slaughter's hand here and kind of squares up right to Kane right away. And he says that he's going to make this short and sweet. Vince knows damn well that Stone Cold knows that the rules last night was the winner of last night's match was supposed to be the person that drew first blood, and they were supposed to be announced as the winner. He points out that Kane, that big son of a bitch, didn't bust him open. It was the Undertaker. And Vince tries to say something, and Steve says, "Shut up or I'll knock your damn head off," for wearing those stupid shoes too. and Austin asks for a rematch. He says that all Vince has to say is, "Yes, Mr. Austin." Vince says, "I'm sure everyone would love to see that." And obviously that's the case here.
Right.
Yeah. Austin says, "Well, if you want me to handle that, let's make it happen. He said, if everyone wants to see it happen, make it happen, Vince. You're supposed to be the damn owner. Act like it." And Vince says, "Well, maybe you don't deserve a rematch." And Austin says, "I got that covered too. If you think I deserve a rematch, give me a hell yeah. The Gund Arena here is sold out. That's 20,000 hell yeahs the ring out here." And Vince says, "All right, I'll tell you what. It's fine with me as long as it's fine with Paul Bear." And the story of this promo, man, is just the facials, because Paul Bear's reaction here looks like he just saw a ghost while he's standing next to one, essentially.
And that just tells you how awesome or how intimidating Stone Cold has for the draw factor for these heels, is that they're standing next to Kane and they're still do chicken shit to tell Steve Austin no.
Yeah, and that's basically what happens here, because Paul looks terrified and doesn't say anything. And Austin says, "All right, well, what about it, fat ass?" And Austin tells him to grab the microphone and say that he has the rematch. Paul then says, "Well, you tell him, son," gesturing to Kane, who spoke for the first time last week, by the way. And Vince and Paul Bear go back and forth off mic, and then Paul says, "Well, it's okay with me if it's okay with Kane." And Austin says, "You're not in the shadow of the Undertaker." Austin says, "I look at you and you're 7 foot tall, 300 pounds. He says, "Anytime that the Undertaker's won the WWF Championship, that's exactly what he did. He won it himself. That's what he did last night. He won it, and then he handed it to your sorry ass." And Kane kind of gestures towards Austin. Paul Bear holds him back. He says, "You have to go through your entire life saying, 'I won the WWF Championship, but my big brother did it for me. So will you give me the rematch tonight?'" And Kane, doing his head nod or head tilt,
Yes.
finally nods, and Vince loses it. And this is just such a great reaction from the crowd. I mean, this Cleveland crowd is beside themselves this entire night, pretty much, outside of the Brawl For All stuff, which starts tonight. But I mean, they are anticipating the hero trying to climb the mountain again.
Yeah, man, and they know they're in the ratings war, and I feel like this was ingenious to give the one night pop for Kane, and then you just got yourself main event title match that is sure to draw more fans in. So it's good main event we have coming up here. And yeah, the Brawl For All, or as JR calls it, the Brawl For It All. Not so much. I was more interested in what the fans were chanting.
Yeah, and it's a great point you make. I want to go back to what you said a minute ago about the main event, because we are going to get Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kane for the WWF Championship. And spoiler alert, it ends in a clean finish. There's a lot of ridicule about WCW, and we mentioned it next week. It's going to happen. Goldberg beating Hulk Hogan on a Nitro with limited build. And yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of a difference here. Obviously, we've been building the Kane and Stone Cold storyline for the better part of a month. Yeah. But this was never advertised. You know what I mean? No. They decided to do this on Raw. And you have to wonder how much that kind of inspired what happens next week as well. Speaking of being inspired, somebody that has been uninspiring is Puke, a.k.a. Darren Drozdoff, a.k.a. Draws, because he comes out next. And then Sable's music hits. And she comes down, and she announces that the WWF has landed a top star from around the world with global-wide notoriety. And she announces Steven Regal, and here he comes. Lord Steven Regal, formerly of WCW, has some of the worst entrance music I've ever heard in my life here. But JR tells us that he's wrestled in 24 countries and won 60 titles. This feels like a really big deal.
Right. It is bad music, but it's not quite he's a man.
Listen, I think that song's great. So you watch your mouth.
But I wasn't expecting
he's a real man's man.
To pop up on this. Yeah. The construction hat, the flannel. Oh my gosh. That's anyways, that's for the future here.
Yes, it is.
But I was like, wow, that just popped up. That I was like, that Goldberg match must have happened recently because I believe that's when he got fired because he was told
Correct.
to have a 6-minute competitive match and
Yeah, and
did not
as
go
he
well.
once famously said, "I can't hit myself."
Yes. let's just say the Hogan Goldberg match just goes off better because they know Goldberg's the strengths.
For sure. But JR says that Sable's going to come over and join them because JR asked Sable some of the hard hitting questions here, like what brought her back to the WWF? What's her relationship with Vince McMahon? Why was she in the skybox last night with Vince? And she just refuses to answer any question, says she's in a legal situation where she can't legally answer those questions. And we're just burying Steven Regal's debut here by talking about Sable and showing off her large assets during this match.
And she seemed so disinterested in being there. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
despite Jerry Lawler's horniness, she tried entertaining him the best she wanted to. I was going to say could, but she clearly didn't want to.
I mean, Regal even hit a top rope double underhook
suplex. Yeah, it looked awesome.
And the crowd just even like it felt like they were just messing around, not into the match, and it was a decent match. Just the commentators weren't helping, the fans weren't helping.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder, like, I remember when I was a kid, I would go to Blockbuster and they would have like magazines on the rack, and it'd be like, the best wrestlers in the world, and like whoever the WWF champion would be like fourth.
Yeah.
And like the Great Muta would be number one. And I'd see all these people and I'd be like, who are these people? Like, I've never, because we didn't get a lot of, unless you're tape trading, you get a lot of Japanese wrestling and didn't have any idea who they were. And I kind of feel like in 1998, there was enough television exposure from WCW and pro wrestling fans. And as hot as the product is now, it'd be kind of hard to believe that nobody knew who Steven Regal was.
Right. I mean, I remembered him when he was in the old WCW video game. I mean, obviously he wrestled for them, but he was
famously Terra Ryzen's tag team partner as well.
Yes. But I was excited, and obviously this is a tenure that's pretty much just consistent all the way through. I mean, he did leave the company a few times.
Specifically just a few weeks after this, he has one more dark match, and we don't see him again for another 6 months.
Right. But sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you mentioned he hits that double arm suplex and gets in the Regal stretch, and that does it. And that brings up some questions for me, not about William Regal, because we're gonna obviously talk about how much of a man he is in the next couple months. But I don't understand what Darren Drozdoff is supposed to be at this time. I mean, he was with the LOD, and we're gonna get into that in a little bit too, but. Mm-hmm. He's been jobbed out a couple times. He's been beaten up by the Undertaker a couple times. He's lost to 2 newcomers now, but he's supposed to be a newcomer himself. Like, I just don't understand what his role is supposed to be in the company right now.
It feels like Vince, like, he brings these guys in, and if they don't have like the immediate like huge reaction, it looks like he gets bored and like throws the toy away and doesn't know what to do with it. And Droz is just kind of wandering around with no direction. I mean, they're not even really talking too much about the puke thing anymore.
Which is probably better for everybody involved.
Correct.
And next up we get Ken Shamrock, who's won the King of the Ring last night and somehow is about the 6th storyline down the card, and it felt like it because, as we mentioned on the King of the Ring rewatch, and thank you to everybody that joined and liked the video. We got a ton of traffic on the live rewatch. We appreciate everybody coming along with us. But he is the King of the Ring winner and didn't get a scepter, a robe, a crown, nothing. But he is out here to be interviewed by Kevin Kelly. And I thought it was really interesting because, Ken Shamrock talks about, being a tough man and being in the UFC and doing all these things, but he puts The Rock over and mentions that winning the King of the Ring was the most difficult thing he's ever done in his professional career. That's unlikely. But he mentions how, despite what happened at the Royal Rumble and what happened at WrestleMania, The Rock was a warrior last night. And I thought that was really interesting.
Man, the hardest thing that he's ever done is get through that promo. I was like, this is hard. Like, I was like, even for the winning the King of the Ring, he couldn't have got promo class, which I kid, they didn't have it back then, but I see why they have it now, like for certain guys.
Well, I kind of wonder, because we just know how infamous Owen Hart is for ribbing people. I wonder if he came out late on purpose.
That's because he was doing long pauses.
Because it kind of seemed like Ken was like gesturing to the back, like, there's your cue. And Owen Hart comes out like in the middle of a Ken Shamrock sentence. So I kind of wonder if this was Owen maybe playing some tricks, because he does come out and mention that, he did break Ken Shamrock's ankle, which went nowhere in storyline. But he was also the King of the Ring winner 3 years ago. But then DX's music hits, and Triple H comes out, who won the King of the Ring last year. And Shamrock says, well, it looks like you two want to fight. And Triple H gives the line of the night and says, you catch on quick, Ken. So we get a three-way dance tonight that is deemed the King of Kings match, which I think is really interesting because of the one HHH involved.
I'd say he's been working on getting that gimmick for a while.
So we get a three-way dance tonight between Ken Shamrock, Owen Hart, and Triple H in the semi-main event. But here's the conversation we haven't talked about a lot. The next match up is the very first ever Brawl for All, and it features Steve Blackman and Mark Marrow. And this is obviously, it's infamously Vince Russo's idea, and he was allegedly doing this because Bradshaw was bullying people and wouldn't shut up, and he wanted to see somebody knock out Justin Hawk Bradshaw at the time. But this is this gets a ton of knock, and I think it should to some degree. But I think it's important to remind people that the guys involved in this outside of Dan Severn, who had to fill in because of an injury, all of these guys agreed to do this, and I think that says something.
Yeah, my problem with it is you're basically telling you the other stuff you see is not real.
Yeah, which I thought was the most interesting part about this too, because they kind of bury a couple of different storylines here too.
Yes, it's hindsight's 2020. I'm interested in watching it now. The fans in 1998 did not want to see this, chanting "We want wrestling" and loud chorus of boos, and we'll get into the match here. But man, I was expecting a lot more from Mark Marrow. I definitely enjoyed our second match, Brawl For It All match.
Brawl For It All, yeah. Which, by the way, is a better name. I think we should have just stuck with JR's rendition.
Yeah, Brawl For It All.
Yeah, I mean, we can get to it because I mean we've talked about this a couple times, but there's that infamous story where Steve Austin was supposed to work with Mark Marrow, and then his wife beats him up. Yes. This did worse for Mark Marrow than getting powerbombed by Sable did.
Yeah, especially when that was your shtick. JR says it every week. Former Golden Gloves boxer, and he didn't. Did he even land a punch?
Yeah, he lands a few throughout this, but I think it's JR even says it that a wrestler will always outclass a boxer, and A, I agree with that, but B, we get into this, and just for point's sake, because we're gonna have to talk about this over the next couple of weeks, is most punches landed per round gives you 5 points, a takedown gives you 5, a knockdown gives you 10, and a knockout just ends the match. And there's 3 1-minute rounds. We get 6 seconds into this fight, and Steve Blackman already takes Mark Marrow down.
Yes.
Blackman gets 5 takedowns in 60 seconds in this first match. He even lands more punches than Marrow in this round. Keep in mind that, listen, not only was Mark Marrow a Golden Gloves boxer, he was a 2-time Golden Gloves boxer, and he can't even put his feet here. This is way before MMA and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu takes America by storm. So, if you're a boxer and you're not used to being taken down and fighting off your back, this is not the event for you.
No.
Marrow does get the better of in the second round with a quick punch to start it off and almost knocks Blackman down. But Blackman gets 3 more takedowns in the second round, 2 more takedowns in the third, and lands the most punches in the entire fight. Blackman gets announced as the winner. And to your point, Mike, they hug at the end of this and kind of exchange an embrace. These guys have been feuding over the last 3 months.
Yes. Marrow's been nothing but a dickhead on TV, and they I don't know. Like I said, interesting. It's fine now, but as a fan, I'd probably be with the rest of Cleveland and booing the shit out of it.
and correct me if I'm wrong. They haven't advertised this in any way, right? I can't remember seeing any kind of announcement. We've seen UFC announcements and promotions of their pay-per-views in 1998. We've heard nothing about this.
No, and I think we had I had the volume kind of low when we did the live watch King of the Ring, but I don't recall that even being said on there.
No, I did some research too, and I couldn't find anything. I was just hoping maybe our crack research team here at Analyzing Attitude was incorrect. So.
Right.
We go backstage after this, and we're giving people what they want, more wrestling storylines to complement the Brawl For All. Right. Kane is being interviewed backstage, and Kane says that he wants the Austin rematch because he's a better champion than the Undertaker ever was, using his voice box. Kane didn't speak until last week, and we're already milking it 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, and we have that damn voice box thing until X-Pac throws it away, which that's not even until like halfway through 1999. So
yeah, we got a ways to go, folks. Stick with
Yep.
the voice box.
But it was nice to see Foley that was alive. So
yeah, Mick Foley is here. He's in attendance in Cleveland. I don't know why he didn't get the night off. He certainly earned it, but he's here. Just standing there looking menacing, and after last night, I got to say it was working.
Yes.
We then get to good.
Oh, I was just saying it's between that and Undertaker with a broken ankle. It's like there's no days off for these guys back then.
Listen, not only did they not get the day off, they didn't get the night off. Both those guys appeared in the main event last night too.
Yes.
It's just insanity.
Yeah, it's like I forgot how much they did work the crap out of the guys back then.
Yeah. Then something happens next that I don't remember happening this quickly into the Attitude Era or into this guy's career. But we get Val Venus versus Dick Togo, and this is the infamous "I choppy your pee-pee" storyline.
Yep.
If you're just watching Analyzing Attitude or the Attitude Era for the first time, buckle in, kids. It gets interesting.
And that sounds really funny out of context.
Yes, it does. Because Val Venus is taking on Dick Togo here, who's a member of the Kane group, and he has brought his wife with him tonight. And Val Venus is a porn star and a chauvinistic pig. Thus far, obviously, this is going one direction. Dustin Runnels comes out halfway through this, and he's apparently going to be a heel, reborn again Christian. He's citing Bible verses on commentary and blaming Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler for the shortcomings in their lives because they're not Christians. This is a really weird vibe.
Man, it's weird because I don't know if it's at this time, but Dustin is or does become a born again Christian.
Right. It kind of feels like he's being punished here for it.
Right. Val Venus, it kind of screamed like right to censor to me, which is funny because Val becomes a part of that group.
Right.
But yeah, it seems like kind of like the Jeff Jarrett, except worse for Dustin. It's just they don't know what to do with him, and they're just trying different things all the time.
Well, we get some back and forth action in the ring, and Val Venus wins with the money shot. And then he goes over, jives his hips in Yamaguchi-san's wife's face. And then Kayate goes to jump him, but Val grabs a chair out of nowhere. And here's your meat and potatoes of the night, folks, because he just starts throwing chair shots at anybody walking around him. He lays out all of Kayate and then jives his hips back at Yamaguchi-san's wife. And she doesn't look interested. That's important for next week.
Yes.
But I guess we're full go into this storyline. Dick to go, some would say.
Dick to go into the storyline.
Yeah.
Oh, and that was kind of funny because Jerry even said, "Oh, damn it, Dustin, he distracted me. He had Dick to go and Val Venus in there. I had about 35 pages of material."
Yeah, listen, it was funny, and I don't have as many problems with this storyline as a lot of people do. Listen, I understand why you would. It just didn't bother me.
I mean, for parents watching like their kids watching it, I get it, but there's far more offensive storylines to come than a choppy PP.
Yeah, shout out to Katie Vick. We then get a shot to the crowd where Edge is in attendance, and I'm like, this is a nothing appearance. He literally does nothing in this show.
Yes.
But I'm glad the last time we saw Edge wasn't the last time we saw him. For anybody that doesn't know or wasn't watching episode 36 with us, Edge's debut match, he accidentally breaks Jose Estrada's neck and just a freak accident. But it sounds like they may give this young upstart out of Canada still another chance. I hope he ends up making it in pro wrestling.
Vince said, sit in the crowd and watch people wrestle tonight. Yeah. Actually, kind of reminded me of, are they trying to make him like Sting or
100% what they were going for, by the way.
Just it doesn't work when there's not vengeance on his side and we don't know anything about him.
Yeah, well, and that's been his gimmick is you don't know him.
Yeah, you think you do. But...
Owen Hart takes on Triple H and Ken Shamrock next. It's been deemed the King Kings match, like we said earlier. In this triple threat match, we get a lot of tandem moves with Hunter and Owen Hart before the break, which I thought was really weird because the reason that Owen Hart is in the nation is because of DX, and they're both working as heels here despite DX being pushed as faces at this time. I thought this was really strange.
I thought this while the match I thought was pretty good.
It was great.
The whole dynamic of why they're fighting and what this is about is just strange to me. Like, all right, King of the Ring's over. Like you guys know that there's a new King of the Ring every year. So why you guys are fighting? I don't know.
Yeah. And I think it is fair to say that both of them participated in this King of the Ring tournament too. So I think it is a little fair that maybe they're a little upset because they came up short, what have you. But we get halfway through the match. We go to a commercial break and come back. And Owen Hart goes to lock in a Boston Crab, not a sharpshooter. Thought that was weird. And Hunter turns on him because, of course, he does, and they start brawling. An eruption in the crowd breaks out, and I thought maybe somebody was debuting because somebody debuts in the storyline next week. But a fan actually jumped the guardrail and rang the bell, and I kind of wonder if the commentators may have been cued in on what's happening next week, because they were like talking about it, and famously Vince McMahon doesn't want that stuff talked about when it's happening. So
right, yeah, that's what it seemed. It seemed a bit sloppy on it.
Yeah, well, Owen goes for a top rope drop kick here while that's happening, and the bell gets rung by the fan, which I thought was really interesting. But it kind of seems like it threw Owen off quite a bit, because we hear him talking a lot in this match. Like we even get this weird bump here where Owen lands on top of Hunter, clearly to communicate something in the corner, and then Shamrock kind of seems to go home right after this as he locks in the ankle lock, and it gets broken up by Hunter. Shamrock goes for a Hurricane Rana, which gets countered, I guess. This is pretty scary looking. Take a look at it here where he goes to pop up a Hurricane Rana, and Hunter just kind of falls on him. And I don't know if that was a way to slow him down or call the change up or what was happening, because we still got a lot to get through in this match.
Yes, I don't know if people are getting gassed or what. They don't typically go this long on Raws anymore.
Sure.
Or really ever, I guess, at this point. But I did like Jerry Lawler's cover up with the bell. It's like, oh, is Vince McMahon out here ringing the bell again?
It was pretty funny. Yeah, spot on, too. And obviously, Chyna's on the outside with Hunter, so she's got to low bridge Owen Hart over the top rope, right? Yep, here it comes. Hunter gets dumped on the outside. Owen gets low bridged to the outside and has to deal with Chyna. While Hunter's laid out on the outside, he gets back in the ring, and The Rock runs down. He doesn't attack Ken Shamrock. He hits Triple H with the belt, and Shamrock disposes of Owen on the outside. He goes to cover Hunter, and he gets the win. The Rock is celebrating up on the stage, and DX comes out. And more on this next week, folks. But they all brawl to the back, and Ken Shamrock is celebrating, but then Owen Hart trips him up and goes to lock in Bret Hart's figure four on the post move. It doesn't go well. He can't get all the leverage here, can't get his foot up. This is a bad look for Owen.
Yeah, I know these guys got more to go in their feud, but I don't know. They just don't really mesh well as well as I thought they should have. Anyways.
Yeah, they have zero chemistry in my opinion.
Right, but there's time for us to sway us. I mean, we got that old Lions Den match, I believe, down the pike here.
It's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Yeah,
nice.
Undertaker is backstage talking to Michael Cole, and he's asking. Taker comes out and he's talking to Cole in the ring. I apologize. And he said Michael Cole says that asks why he attacked Steve Austin last night, because the fans deserve explanation. And Taker says he owes nobody nothing. And he said the reason that he interfered was because he didn't want to see his little brother have to set himself on fire. Because if you're just joining us for the first time, Kane said if he lost to King of the Ring, he would light himself on fire. He even brought gas cans to the ring to do so. So you have to understand and kind of side with the Undertaker and understand why he did what he did, right?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
They had a freaking Inferno match.
That is true. That's a great point. I forgot about that.
And what did Undertaker just do to Mick Foley like a few minutes before he wanted to be humane? I don't know. I get it. That's his brother, but it's like
he just set him on fire 3 months ago. You're right. I totally forgot that happened. Good call. But Vince McMahon also doesn't have to side with the Undertaker, because he comes out and says the real reason he interfered is because he thought he could beat Kane easier than he could beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he warns the Undertaker that hell has no fury, not like a woman scorned, but for somebody that interferes in the championship match tonight. So the Undertaker, kind of a little bit of a heel turn here, not completely, but he's in this tweener spot where he's stopping Stone Cold Steve Austin from retaining the championship, but he's also feuding with Vince McMahon.
Right. They're kind of giving him the, I guess tweener is the best word to use. I would say the hero's dilemma, but yeah,
that's good. That's another good phrase.
It's kind of making it interesting, because otherwise it is kind of hard to always book babyface versus baby faces, which is where we're heading here in a few months. But given Undertaker a little complex storylines going into it's not a bad idea.
Yeah, he's a 7-foot dead zombie, but he's a face.
Right.
Makes sense if you don't think about it. The Brawl For It All, which is how we're only going to refer to it going forward now, is back, and we see some warm-ups before the next match because it is Bradshaw versus the artist formerly known as Henry Godwin, I guess. I don't know. We got Black. Yeah, we get a replay of Steve Blackman versus Mark Barrow, and it looked tactical and looked like there was some discipline applied. That's not what this looks like. We get introduced to Mark Canterbury, who was formerly Henry Godwin, but is now of Southern Justice. He comes out as his legal with his legal name, but gets referred to as a member of Southern Justice. I don't know why we chose to do this. Very weird.
I feel like he just wanted to be in the Brawl for All, and we're like, well, we don't really have. Just go out there, be yourself.
We don't need to go into detail about this because Bradshaw just basically bashes in Henry Godwin's face.
That's basically all.
Yeah, they swing for the fences for 90 seconds. I thought it was cool that Danny Hodge got to officiate these. By the way, for anybody that doesn't know who Danny Hodge is, look him up. It's worth your time. The man broke pliers with his bare hands for fun. But Bradshaw just batters Henry Godwin until Henry Godwin runs out of gas and tries taking him down, and then Bradshaw beats him up some more. So Big Justin Hawk is heading on to the next round.
Which his type said BJ, and I'm like, all right, there's Bradshaw and there's Justin Hawk, but it's BJ.
That was his Blackjack trunks.
Blackjack. Thank you.
It used to be Blackjack.
It's driving me nuts. Thank you.
Which he has not been referred to for almost a year at this point.
Yes.
We don't get to the main event after this. Somehow we need to have some segment before the main event. And there's been a running theme on Raw for the last 9 months. It's how stupid can we make the LOD look? Spoiler alert, it gets worse.
It had promise.
We have finally discarded Sunny. She has left the WWF. They don't explain why here, but according to rumor and innuendo, it had to do with painkillers, drug addiction, and issues backstage with Sable. But we don't get any send off or an explanation why she's not here.
Right.
But the LOD introduced us to their new /old manager, because there used to be a guy that believed in the LOD, and they basically give him all the credit for all their championship glory. It's Paul Ellering, who was the Road Warriors' longtime manager in the 80s. And Paul Ellering comes out, and the DOA's music starts to play. And then Paul Ellering introduces us to his new team, the Disciples of Apocalypse. And the DOA just beat down the LOD and leave the Road Warriors laying in the ring in 1998.
Yeah, this made no sense. I mean, I understand they're trying to, I guess, spice up this rivalry, which we just don't want it to be done with. But yeah. I was like, all right, he's back. That's all right. And then the motorcycles hit. I was like, damn it. And then Paul Ellering turned. I was like, okay, let's get on to the main event.
I guess they're all bald.
Yes.
I guess. So
they're going to try to recruit Stone Cold next.
Steve, stay away.
Yeah.
He is out next, though, because he is trying to win his WWF Championship back. And Stone Cold comes out first, still heavily bandaged on the elbow, as you can see here. And if you're wondering if that's from last night's not, Steve is dealing with a staph infection in real life, but still very heavily taped in this match. So you got to wonder how serious that infection really was.
Right. And there's only... I mean, at least it was diagnosed. I mean,
yeah, it's a great point.
Company's kind of got a history of misdiagnosed staph infections.
Shout out to CM Punk. Kane comes out next, and Jim Ross reminds us that Kane has the champion's advantage, which means he cannot get counted out, and he has to be beat by a clean finish here. And I felt like this had every reason to end in a disqualification or some sort of interference. Really surprised it doesn't.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked it only took one Stone Cold stunner.
Spoiler alert, Mike.
Oh, sorry. Well, I mean, maybe Kane hit the stunner.
Fair enough. The opening segment, the Vince McMahon promo that led to everybody coming out, went 25 minutes.
Yes.
The main event of Raw tonight for the WWF Championship goes for 10 minutes and 48 seconds. You do the math, folks.
Promos are much more highly viewed by Vince than ring time.
Listen, you can't really blame them either. I mean, they really set the bar to open up the show, and the main event closes it out every time because the crowd is on fire for this.
Yes.
And Steve Austin, as he tends to do, starts the match with his comeback and just jumps on Kane. This crowd's on fire, and it goes deadly quiet because Kane hits an uppercut, and Steve Austin kind of flies up and catches his foot on the top rope. But listen, as soon as Austin gets on his offense again, there's not a butt in a seat in this house. This Cleveland crowd was ready to see the rattlesnake.
Yes, it was hot. They're getting a world championship match, And this is one of those rare instances where you are pretty sure we're going to see a title change on live television.
Yeah, and listen, they're not pulling any punches either because Austin sends Kane to the outside and sends him into the steel steps twice, and ends up bouncing Kane's face off the railing. And Jim Ross reminds us that Steve can't win by DQ or count out while he's out there, which is like you're just kind of sitting there as a fan at home going, well, he's not winning this one tonight. But after they get back in the ring, Austin hits a Luthez press and some weak-looking punches from Steve here. I wonder if this is fatigue, if this is too much of not left in the tank from last night, or just not wanting to punch a guy wearing a mask as hard as you can.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's kind of hard to tell like your strength on that. I didn't know if some of them were to do with the elbow at all, but I mean, yeah, they were looking a bit on the weak side.
Steve starts working Kane's leg, and Austin, a guy that's talked publicly a ton about psychology and wanting to tell stories, worked for about 4 seconds. That's all we see of it this entire match, which I thought was really funny. But Kane sends Austin to the outside, and then we see Kane send Steve into the steps a couple times. So, I mean, these guys just worked hell in a cell last night, and they're doing steel step bumps and everything else.
No days off. They are just, they're tarring the crap out of each other.
We talked about this on last week's episode too, but like Austin gets the hangman on the railing, and he's laying at fans' feet. I mean, we know now that those black barricades that WWE uses these days doesn't really allow anything underneath, but this is still the age-old day of guardrails where people are inches away and their feet are just right at the wrestlers' heads.
Yes.
But Steve Austin falls for the age-old trick of being distracted by Paul Bearer, which allows Paul to take off his shoe and hit Stone Cold Steve Austin in the forehead with it. But Austin, being the dumb face, has to run down Paul Bearer, which allows Kane to get the better of Austin, throw him back into the ring. But as he's doing so, the Undertaker makes his way down the ramp. So the Undertaker not listening to Vince McMahon's warning here, Mike.
Yeah, and it's interesting, but we don't have Kane threatening to light himself on fire, so we get the question mark agenda here with Undertaker. What's he gonna do?
Yeah, and the answer's not a whole lot. And I thought this is a really interesting finish because we talked about the rush finish with the Owen Hart match earlier because of the something that happened with a fan jumping the railing. But I wonder if something may have gone wrong in this match as well. Keep in mind, Austin's staph infection has an open wound on his head. It doesn't get opened up in this match, which I thought was interesting. They chose not to get blood for the second night in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But Kane hits the flying clothesline here, gets the choke slam, sets Austin up for the tombstone. Austin simply just slides over his shoulder, delivers the stunner, and gets the 1-2-3 and wins clean.
Yeah, it felt like something was rushed, or I don't know if Foley was supposed to be out there but couldn't because of the night before. But either way, I mean, the crowd was happy. Stone Cold's your champ again. But yeah, I felt like Kane needed to kick out of something big, or at least just kick out at 3, maybe like after 3.
Yeah, or maybe 2 stunners. I mean, he's been an unstoppable. I mean, it took 3 tombstones to beat him at the last pay-per-view.
Like
so
Scott, I mean, you don't have to sell like Scott Hall, but like the Scott Hall stunner, like one, he's still on his feet, and then hit another one. I think he did 7 to Big Show once. Like
correct. That's where I was going next. But the Undertaker tries getting after Paul Bearer, slides into the ring, tries getting Paul again, turns around. Austin gives him a stunner of his own. So the Undertaker's down, Kane's down, Stone Cold Steve Austin is the champion, walking up the ramp. Then we get the cool visual of the Brothers of Destruction sitting up for the first time together at the same time, staring at each other and not fighting. And then a look of worry goes over the Rattlesnake's face. The last scene we get on Monday Night Raw is Stone Cold Steve Austin going up the ramp with the WWF Championship, and Kane and the Undertaker standing side by side in the ring, staring him down.
Yes. This is plays a lot into the next few months, the next 3 pay-per-views, I believe. So it's people are into it, so why not keep giving them what they want, and that's the Brothers of Destruction and Austin.
Let's go ahead and grade it, Mike. Give us your grading of this episode of Raw, June 29th, 1998.
Yeah, I gave it a B. We had a hot start. The Steve Austin Kane stuff was pretty top notch. There was the Brawl For All of it all. Yeah. And I don't know. There was something that was just missing to me to get up in the A echelon. Not a bad show. Just after the last few weeks, needed something a little bit better.
Yeah, I gave it a B plus just because I thought, you know, the stuff. Anytime you get Steve Austin and a man with a championship on the
Yes.
on the line, and the crowd's as hot for it as it was tonight,
Yes.
It's hard to not give it an A, or at least an A minus.
Right.
Brawl for All stuff just isn't going to do it for me,
Yes.
man. And especially in 2026 when we're reviewing this, because of how much we've been exposed to MMA and what real fighting looks like by trained professional fighters.
Yes.
Not what we got tonight.
No, I mean, I'll give him, you know, a golf clap for trying something different, but that and Shamrock's promo, I forgot, that was the one that kind of gave me a buzz killed and shook it down a little bit.
Raw wins in the ratings tonight. No surprise. The WWF actually pulls in a 5.1 tonight. This is the second time throughout the 90s that the one of the Monday night shows, and the first time the WWF does so, pulls over a 5. Get ready for next week because it is the infamous Goldberg versus Hulk Hogan in the Georgia Dome match. I'm excited to see what the ratings look like for that. I'm excited to see how many people subscribe after watching this episode. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Analyzing Attitude. Leave us an oh, hell yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.
That was just a glimpse into what Analyzing Attitude has to offer. If you liked what you saw here, here's what we suggest next for you. And
if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Like and subscribe.